Great morning, everyone. Come on in. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Who's here and where you're tuning in from. Hmm. Mm. Wow. Hmm. Mm. Today, I'm on early. First of all, because there's some things that, like, I just have to do. Have to say. When I wake up early, and sometimes, God will let me just, go ahead and just do my life, right? But sometimes He won't. And this morning was one of those mornings. And the funny thing is, I woke up earlier and I was on Facebook and, messaging, and this prophet was telling me an angelic encounter. I'm like, okay. It was like, no, God is like, the angels are, with you. And I was like, yeah, they're here. I feel them. And he was just talking, and he didn't say a lot. It was 3 word, like, responses. Like, it was just like 3 words, 3 words, 3 words. And I'm like, okay. So I decided to just, be still and just meditate on God and let Him talk to me. He talked to me. I fell asleep. I woke up and I was thinking, oh, I should go live at 5:55. And then I just went on about my business, and I was like, just continue to lay there and marinate in the presence of God, and really wasn't thinking about it. And I woke up and it was like 5:52. I said, okay. All right, God, I hear you. You all listen, I know that there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on. We've got power outages, snowstorms in places where snow normally doesn't hit, right? All of these things going on. And I need you to understand that, while, yes, there is, what is it? Climate control, climate, whatever, right? And while, yes, there is manipulation in the weather, that God ultimately is in control. And I don't know if you understand or get how significant this time period is. This time period is so important because what God is doing in this season, He is literally transitioning people. He's literally transitioning the people of God, those who will position themselves, those who will heed His voice. He's transitioning us. He's putting us in places and in positions in order for the kingdom to be able to grow and to become what He needs to become on the earth, right? Now, listen, I know some of us are so spiritual, so super spiritual, that we're caught up in the heavenlies, but we're not being any earthly good. And He's looking for those who can be some earthly good. He's looking for those who can be used in the earth realm. He's looking for those whose hands and feet and mouths will move as He directs and guides. And that's who He's looking for. He's looking for those who have been in the background, those who have been hidden, those who have been passed over, those who have been misunderstood, and He's bringing them forward as His mouthpiece. Why? He's entrusted His word with people who have not been trustworthy. Now, He knew they weren't trustworthy from the beginning. He knew the changes that would take place from the beginning. It's not a surprise to Him. He knew it, but He needed them in that season because He was preparing another generation, a generation that's coming forward now. A generation that doesn't look like church, that doesn't sound like church, a generation that is willing. That's right, Carrie. is willing to just be a trailblazer, who's willing to be talked about, who's willing to be judged, who's willing to be made the butt of a joke, who's willing to have the church condemn them. Someone who those are the people he's looking for. He's looking for the people that are less concerned about the church, or at least are willing to stand in the gap and allow the church to make a mockery of them for the good of the kingdom. That's what he's looking for. And the funny thing about these people is these people don't want to be in the front. They don't want to be seen. They don't want to be the ones out there. They don't want to be the ones that people are looking to like that. They don't want that. Like, they would prefer not to be. But God is calling them forward because of that. Because they're not limelight hungry, because they're not hungry for people to hang on every word, because that's not what their motivation is. That's not what their focus is. But he's got to do supernatural things in their life in order for the world to be able to see that he is God, and he uses who he wants to. He chooses who he wants to. He does that. I always get nervous when people be like, oh yeah, I want to be a pastor. Have you lost your freaking mind? You want that heat? You want that heat, because it's a special heat that comes with pastoring. It's a special heat that comes with being a prophet. It's a special heat that comes with being an apostle. It's a special heat that comes with being an evangelist, a teacher. It's a special heat that comes with it. And while people may think they're ready for that heat, everybody that say they're ready ain't ready for that heat. It's a different heat. And so this morning, this morning, that presence of God, the angels who stand watch over me, are pressing me. Pressing me to say some stuff that I don't want to say, to do some stuff that I don't want to do. It's a press. And you all, you may not understand it, but I'm telling you, this is not an easy task. So when I feel this kind of press, I know it's going to be some stuff people don't want to hear, but it's necessary. Because what's happening is, what's happening is our desire to not do certain things is interfering with God's agenda. I just keep hearing him say, you're being selfish, you're being selfish, you're being selfish, you're being selfish, you're being selfish. Now, this is the funny thing. The things that we think are selfish are not the things that God thinks is selfish. The things that he thinks is selfish is when we fail to do what it is he has called us to do, because we don't want to do that. We don't want the heat. We don't want the problems. We don't want to deal with the people like that. We don't want to be seen. We don't want to have to say the hard stuff, the tough stuff, the stuff that nobody wants to hear. We don't want to do that. But we're being selfish because I promise you, he needs us right now. He needs us now more than he's needed us in history. I need you to understand that. If you'll notice that a lot of people who operate or have been called prophet, a lot of them got a lot of stuff wrong in 2020. They got a lot of stuff wrong in 2020. Why is that? Why is that? Why is it they got a lot of stuff wrong in 2020? A lot of these people that we have lifted up and put on pedestals, they were not operating in the spirit of God. They were operating in a spirit but it was a spirit of error. And they were pushing agendas. That was not what God was doing. See, let me tell you something. Sometimes God will allow people to think that what they're doing and saying is right in order for them to be exposed to the world. Oh, we learned some stuff about some folks in 2020. We learned some stuff about some folks. Some folks that we put on pedestals, we send all our money to, not my to them. People that this is why let me tell y'all something. This is why, people will talk about different people in the church realm. I don't know a lot of them people. Listen, God literally has shielded me from a lot of stuff and a lot of people in the church, even locally, right? Like, I can't go everywhere. I don't know all these people. People like, oh, so and so, Pastor so and so. I don't know them. They don't know me. I don't know them. Why? And I would say, God, why is it? I remember when I came to Tampa. Listen, let me tell you something. When I came to Tampa, I just knew that I was going to be going to what is that church? Church Without Walls. I just knew I was going to be going to Without Walls. I just knew I would. I just knew I was going to be going to Without Walls. You know that God would not let me step foot in Without Walls for about 4 years. It was 4 years before he would even allow me to visit the church. 4 years. In the midst of that 4 years, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff transpired, but he would not allow me to go. He would not. Every time I would just get myself together like I was getting ready to go, something would happen and the Spirit of God would arrest me and I would not be able to go. And I'm like, God, what is this? But the same Spirit of God that arrested me and kept me from going there sent me to the Church of Scientology. What? This doesn't make sense, God. You see, let me tell you something. Right now, God is using the things that look foolish to the world to confound those who think they know everything. They think they got it all together. They think they got it all right. They think that they have figured it out, right? And we have given them these titles and this acclaim, and we've given them all of this. We've given them more than we've given God. And he's sick of it. He's sick of it. He's sick of us exalting these preachers and pastors and making them gods, because they are not God. And not only are they not God, they're not operating in the God that exists within them. They're out of pocket, out of whack. And it's not because, they have sinned, because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's not it. They've lost the heart of God. When you lose the heart of God, man, you in a whole nother place. See, because at least if you are living in sin, but you have the heart of God, he can bring you back. He can arrest you. He can still move you and use you and be able to do things through you for the kingdom. But when you lose the very heart of God, you also lose the mind of God. And so now you begin to make other things, and other people God proper. Mm. We are coming to the end of the second month of 2021, according to the Gregorian calendar. Second month of this Gregorian calendar year. We are in the season of Lent. Lent is the time where people begin to prepare themselves for the celebration of the resurrection of Christ. It is a time of sacrifice. And I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying, you'll sacrifice for Lent, but you won't be obedient to me. You'll take great pride in what you sacrifice for the Lenten season, but you won't obey me. Oh, you'll lock on to the fast of sacrifice. But when I just tell you to do something, you fail to move. God is looking for some people who will be obedient. Can I share something with you? This may offend some people. Some religious people may feel some type of way about what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm just going to tell you what I hear God saying. I don't care about your sacrifice. I care about your obedience. You see, we're the ones that get all caught up in that. That's us. That's us. See, let me tell y'all, my God. Oh, God. Mm-hmm. Jesus. We got God so messed up. We got him 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 messed up with church and religion and tradition. We've got God messed up and put in a freaking box that he said he never created. He never created that box that you got him in. Listen, he don't care nothing about that. He worried about all the wrong stuff. Worried about all the wrong stuff. All the wrong stuff. You make the stuff that, listen, oh my God, Jesus. When God says it's not the things that enter the mouth that defileth the man, but it is the things that come from the heart. The things that enter the mouth will go out of the body, but it is the heart that God is concerned about. We have made everything else more important. Everything else, oh, we'll do it to the T. We'll do it to the letter. We'll do it extra. We'll do extra research to make sure that we don't miss anything, but we miss the heart of God. How dare we? How dare we miss the heart of God? Caught up in religion and rules and regulations and create restrictions on people that put them in bondage, but we don't teach them the heart of God. We don't allow them to hear the voice of God and move on the word of God because we're so concerned about the stuff that God is not concerned about. He doesn't care about that. That's not what he cares about. He cares about us. He cares about us. We get so caught up in the mandates and the restrictions that we miss the very heart of God. And not only do we put ourselves in bondage, we then begin to put other people in bondage, the same bondage, thinking we're liberating them, but we're only putting them in bondage. Because true liberation is hearing the voice of God for yourself. What is he saying to you? Or can you even hear him amidst the restrictions, amidst the sacrifices that you're making, amidst the rules that you're following, feeling like somehow you're superior to other people because you have followed the laws? God, I followed the laws. Do you not recognize that? Do you not recall hearing that? In the Bible, it's replete with examples of people saying, but I have kept your commandments. And Jesus said, okay, cool. So do this. What? Peter on the rooftop with the dream, God dropping the sheet with all of the animals in it, and God saying, eat, kill and eat. He said, no, God, I could never do that. That's a violation of the Levitical law. What? You gonna stay on the word that God spoke then, but you won't do what God says now? Listen, let me tell you something. Everybody has a right to believe what they want to believe and do what they want to do. Absolutely. Listen, I'll fight for that right there. I'll fight for that. But let me tell y'all something. You better not miss God and the heart of God being more concerned about laws, commands, and regulations than the voice of God. Because I will tell you something. You have missed God when you do that. If God's voice and what he's saying to you, if what he's drawing you to, if what he's doing in you, if what he desires to do is not greater than that, then that is a problem. And that's where the problem lies, because the problem has become that people have made rules, regulations, and let's check this out. If we could do this on our own, there would have been no need for Jesus to have ever been born. He wouldn't have needed to come. He wouldn't have needed to suffer. He wouldn't have needed to die. And there would be no need for a resurrection. If we could just do it just by keeping the law, if we could just keep the law and be good, like we wouldn't need Jesus. We wouldn't need his sacrifice. We wouldn't need him. We wouldn't need him. What we need him for? Because we can do it on our own. We can't do it on our own. And God knows that. There's a part that we do. There's a part that we play, but we won't play the most important part, and that's be obedient to his word. Right here. What's he saying now? What is it? You thought that he stopped talking when he wrote the Bible? When the people wrote the Bible, you thought that God stopped talking to people. That's what you thought. You thought that was the end of what God was going to say forever. You thought that was the end. Oh, you thought that he wasn't going to talk to you. You thought he was done because those 66 books that they have given to us were exposed to us. Not even all the books, just 66, right? Oh, you thought that was it. And he ain't said nothing else to you? He don't talk to you? He don't speak to you? There's a book called the Book of Veronica, right? And that is all of the things that God has spoken to me. That's my book, right? We all have a book where God is speaking directly to us, the Rhema word of God in Kairos time. I'm not talking about what he said in the Bible. I'm talking about what he's saying to you. Now, see, this is the problem, and this is where we get in trouble, because you will have people saying, well, God said this and God said that, and God said it, and God may or may not. But listen, that ain't my job. That ain't my business. It's not my job to dictate or say what God has said or not said to you. But it is my job is to listen to what he's saying to me and do what he tells me to say. When he tells me to do something, I got to do it. I had no idea I was even going to be talking about this stuff. Listen, I just trying to mind my own darn business. This is the thing, though. This is what God wants. He wants the people that's just trying to mind their own business, but will be interrupted for him. Be disrupted for him. That's who he's looking for. That's who he's using in this season. All them other people, baby, listen. I'm telling you, they might tell you what God has said in the Bible, but they might not be telling you what God is saying now. You understand what I'm saying? So they can tell you what God said in the past, but they don't have enough of a relationship with him to tell him what he's saying right now, because they think that everything that God was going to say has already been said, and it has not. He is still yet speaking. Now, granted, there's nothing new under the sun. I promise you that there's nothing new under the sun, but God is giving revelation to what he has already said. And see, people miss that because there are layers to this thing. There are levels to this. Yes, this is what God said, but listen, what is he revealing to you? There are the hidden mysteries. Those are the treasures, the hidden mysteries in the word of God. Things that he wouldn't allow people to understand because they wouldn't have known what to do with it. They would have abused it. That he's now revealing. That's why the enemy plays so much with technology, with the internet and all of that stuff, because he wants us to be deceived and think that that stuff is of the devil. It is not of the devil. Does the devil use it? He absolutely does. But it's not of the devil. God has always planned for us to be able to be connected around the globe, around the universe. He has planned for those universal connections because there's so much more going on than what we understand. He's a huge God. He created everything. He knows the end from the beginning. You think that he doesn't know what's going to be happening and how things are going to be manipulated? Oh, he knew. But guess what? There will be those, the remnant, who will understand what's going on, and they'll have a deeper level of insight, who will be able to pull the pieces together and begin to show the people, listen, this is not what you think it is. And then there'll be those who'll be caught up in religion and never get past it, because they're caught up in religion. And religion is more important than God and their relationship with God. Now, it'll be masked in the relationship with God, but it's not what's going on. Y'all, I'm just going to tell y'all, listen, all I can do is tell y'all what I'm hearing the Spirit of God say. He is not pleased. He's not pleased. He's sick of it. The things that are masquerading as him. He's sick of it. This is the sad part. I want y'all to hear me, and I want y'all to hear my heart. The sad part is God is more with some of these crackheads out here in the street than he is with the people who hearken the doors of the church every day, who keep feast and make the sacrifices and are fasting for Lent. God is with the crackhead more than, come on, y'all, what is wrong with this picture? Because at least when he speaks to the crackhead will say what he says. And I'm convinced there are many prophets that are walking the streets homeless and on drugs because God has been speaking to them and telling them stuff, and the world has told them that ain't God and you're crazy. That is a great travesty. And we're going to hold account. We're going to have to give account for that. We will give account for that. For all of the people that we've told were walking in error when they were walking in truth and they were hearing the voice of God, but we told them that they were wrong, we will give an account for that. There will be an account given. There will be an account given. So be careful. Be careful. Be careful how you stand in judgment of people. Be careful. Because what you think is truth may be part of the truth, but not the whole truth. Do you understand that religion specializes in partial truths? It's all built on partial truth. Part of the truth is told, but not the whole truth. Partial truths. That's how the enemy messes with our mind. He'll give you part of the truth. And if you don't listen to God, you'll find yourself saying, oh, well, this is the truth. Listen, I remember when I came into the truth of the Sabbath. The Sabbath is Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. That is the Sabbath, period, point blank. That's it. That's the Sabbath, right? I remember when I came into the truth of the Sabbath, but I remember I had a problem. A problem. And the problem was that I saw Sabbath keepers making keeping the Sabbath more important than how they interacted with their brothers and sisters. And I'm not saying this is true of all Sabbath keepers. I want y'all to understand me, right? I want you to understand me. That's not what I'm saying. But I had a problem. I had a problem because people who were not eating meat felt like they were better than the people who ate meat. And when the people who ate meat finally came to their senses, then they would be able to, raise up. What? I had a problem with some stuff, right? And so I said, God, but in the word, you say some esteem one day above others and others esteem each day equally. That's what you say in your word, God. What is this? God, you said that everything that you created is good to eat. Not necessarily good for you. I want y'all to understand. And I believe with God, God's whole thing is this rigidity that we operate in. Y'all, we grab hold of stuff and we lock onto it like a pit bull with some fresh meat between its teeth. Like, argh! And that's how we deal with other people with it. Argh! What? So I said, God, listen. I don't know about none of this religion stuff, right? I don't know about none of it. Like I'm not trying to fool with none of these people because I think all of them are a little bit off, okay? Because the stuff they lock onto, like, God, that's not what I'm hearing from you. What's wrong with me? I began to think something was wrong with me. I really did. And the interesting thing is I began to explore different religions, different thoughts. I began to just explore different things. But, and this, all I can tell y'all is my experience. This is just it, my experience. God brought me back to the base of Christianity, but not Christianity as it's often practiced, right? He said, listen, I need you to be so much in relationship with me that whatever I tell you to do, you do it. That's what I need. And I think that one of the things that's happened for me lately is that, there just was an area I wasn't giving God. I just wasn't. Not just going to be honest with y'all. I just wasn't giving it to him. You can have everything else. You can have everything else. in my life. But this one thing, listen, let me hold on to this because I don't trust you with this. I don't trust you, God. I don't trust you with this. Isn't that crazy? I'll trust God with my kids. I'll trust God with my finances. I'll trust God with my emotions. I'll trust God with my business. I'll trust God with all of this other stuff. I'll say crazy stuff for God. I'll do crazy stuff for God. I'll do that. But I just would not give him relationships. I would not give him that. God, no, let me hold on to that because I feel like you gonna be trying to have me doing some stuff that I'm just not trying to do. Lord, no, I don't trust you with that because you might try to have me be celibate for the rest of my life, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. God, now let me hold this peace. Let me hold this peace because you be doing too much sometimes, and I let him have it to a piece, but not all of it. And this past week, I finally just had to give him all of it, like all of it. And maybe that's why he's got me saying this now. Because listen, it's just some things that I just was fighting to hold on to because it gave me like a sense of control. He said, I don't want you to have control. And I believe that because I remember when I connected with the Sabbath keeping church, I was in a place where my life felt out of control and I felt like I needed rules and regulations to help me get control of my life again. And so I sought something that was rigid because it gave me a sense of control and normalcy and like I know what the rules are. These are the rules. And if I do this, then I'm good, right? But that's not what he wanted for me. And so I could only do it, but for so long because I had problems with stuff. Stuff wasn't matching for me. And I was asking too many questions. And people looking at me, why are you asking all these questions? Asking all these questions. This is before I ever went into ministry. But I just knew something is off for me about this. I ain't saying that the people are off. I'm just saying something is off about this for me. And God began to take me on a journey. And he had to get me to the place where I submitted, to doing what he wanted me to do and saying what he wanted me to say. I remember this is before I knew I was a prophet. I just knew sometimes I knew stuff, but I didn't think anything of it. But I remember I was on a trip and I was in Massachusetts. I was away from home. I was away from the church. I was I was at this educational thing. And I remember God telling me to say things to different people. And I was like, I don't know these people. What you mean say this to them? And I started doing it. And people started crying. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, oh my God, how did you know that? I was like, God, what are you doing? And he would just tell me to just say different stuff to different people, tell them different things. And people began to see God and God's love. Now listen, I didn't ask for none of that. I was trying to mind my business and get my money for the little fellowship thing that I was doing, complete the program. That's all I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to do that. And after that, I had to go back home and tell my pastor, who did not believe in women pastors, that I was called to preach. And he said, I've been waiting for you. Why you didn't tell me? Because you said you don't believe in women pastors. So I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work. But God, he had a journey he was taking me on. Listen, don't let religion, rules, regulations, or commands keep you from taking the journey that God is taking you on. Your journey is just that, it's yours. It may not look like anybody else's. It may not look like anybody else's, but it's yours. And when you take it for real and you really let him have his way with you, the way some of us have let men have their way with us or women have their way with us, you're going to discover that things might not be what you think they are. You might begin to see him a little bit differently, as well as see yourself differently. This word today is a word of liberation, but it's also a word of chastisement. Yeah, he's chastising us. Keep the main thing the main thing. Keep the most important thing the most important thing. Be careful. It's a thin line. It's a thin line. And you'll find yourself being one of the Sadducees and the Pharisees, the ones that Jesus didn't fool with. Jesus did his greatest work outside of the temple because he knew them folks in the temple were caught up in all the rules, laws, or regulations and not in the move of God. Don't become one of them. Don't think nah, just because you go through the doors, just because you kept the commandments, just because you keep the rules and the regulations, does not mean that you got it together. It just means that you know how to follow rules. And while, yeah, there are things that he definitely wants us to do, I don't know if you noticed, the people he used the most were the rule breakers, not the ones that followed all the rules. Did y'all notice that? Did y'all peep that? Even Saul, when Saul was following the rules, he was out of alignment with God. It was when he became a rule breaker that he found himself in the very will of God. Sometimes God turns things upside down to get them right side up. And maybe that's what he's doing with your life right now. I know for me, he had to take me out of the church so that I could be the church. And I'm not coming against church at all. But I'm telling you, it's easy for us to use the church as our own drug. The thing that we hold on to that gives us a sense of normalcy, makes us feel like we're on the right track, even if the track that we're on is wrong. You know, when God said, I want you to start the church again, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, God. I don't want to do that because I already know I'm different. I'm different. I'm wired different. I'm made up different. You know, church people don't, nah. I'm going to do some stuff that they don't agree with. He said, that's why I want you. Did y'all hear that? Because I'm going to do some stuff that they don't agree with. That's why he want me. Yeah, that's why I want you. Yeah. See, because the people will relate to you. The people will be drawn to you. They'll listen to you because they know you real. You're not acting this way today and tomorrow you're like super holy. You know, that's not you. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that. And truth be told, I still haven't done everything that he's told me to do, so I'm being disobedient. So he's whooping me now too. Don't think y'all the only ones getting a whooping. I'm getting a whooping too. I'm getting a whooping. He's whooping me, y'all. I'm talking to y'all and he's whooping me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. God, I just don't want to do it. But he can appreciate that. He can appreciate that. Because I'm being honest, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't want to do it because I don't know what's going to happen. God, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it because I don't have no parameters for it. I don't have no rules for it. I don't want to do it, God. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. Like, isn't it enough that on Sunday I get up at 9 and I say, let's have church? that ain't enough, God. Can I just do that? He's like, nah, that ain't enough. Can we just, can we stay right here for a minute? Can we just stay right here for a minute, God? I don't want to do all that extra. I don't want to do it. He said, nah, you've been to do everything I told you. I don't wanna. I don't want to do that, God. Oh, I've been fighting for a few years now. Just don't want It just be stuff I don't want to do. I don't want to be bothered like that. Then y'all hear me about that fire, that extra heat. Man, I be like, I don't want the heat. He's like, no, you got to do it. I'm like, man, can, some, can somebody else do it? He said, listen, they can do something, but it won't be what I want you to do. Man, y'all. Mm. It may not look like what people think it should look like. It may not even show up the way they say that it's supposed to show up. But I'm going to tell y'all, God's heart breaks when we get off track and we make religion and rules and regulations more important than Him, and more important than people, and more important than the hearts of people, and most importantly, the heart of God. His heart breaks because we get part of it right. And we take it and just mess it up. Just be effing stuff up. Just F it up all the way up. Just why? Why can't we just, oh, I always gotta take everything to the extra extreme. Just to the extra extreme. And just pervert it. And we be talking about how the enemy perverts stuff. I'm sorry. The enemy can't pervert stuff more than the church perverts it. Like, religion has perverted so much of what God has said and done. Like, it is ridiculous. It's not even Him. Like, that ain't, that's God. Oh, okay. Huh. That ain't the God I serve. That's not my daddy. That's not my daddy. He don't do people like that. Does He heal people? Absolutely. Does He punish people? Most definitely. Some of the stuff we do to people in the name of God and in the name of religion, man, it's so jacked up. It's jacked up. It's jacked up. It really is. And we missed the most important thing. Jesus told us what the key was. Jesus didn't say the key was the commandments. He didn't say the key was the Sabbath. He didn't say the key was none of that stuff. Let me tell you what He said the key was: love. He said, they said, what is the greatest commandment? He said that you would love the Lord thy God with all their heart, mind, and soul. And the second is like unto this, that you would love your brother as yourself. Love. We do everything else. But our love be jacked up. Now, how can you say that you got all these other pieces right, but you can't love people? Come on now. You're worried about the wrong stuff. Worried about the wrong stuff. How about you worry about love? How about you love somebody? How about you start to love yourself? But you can't do it when you're measuring yourself against the law. You never can really love yourself the way God loves you, because you always fall short when you're measured against the law, rules, regulations. I promise you, you will forever come up short, which is why Jesus had to come to fulfill the law. Why He had to come to fulfill it? Because we couldn't fulfill it. We couldn't keep it. Not in its totality. As long as we measured ourselves up against the law, we always fall short. We will always fall short because we're going to have a thought. We're going to do something. We're going to say something. We're always going to fall short. Always and forever. And that is the great trick of religion. That's the great trick of religion. It keeps you in bondage. It doesn't allow you to be free. Hey, I'm just telling you what God is saying. I'm just telling you what God is saying. As long as you compare yourself to the law and your ability to keep the law, you will always feel inadequate. You will always feel like you're not enough. You will always feel like you got to check over your shoulder to make sure you're dotting every I and crossing every T, so that you can look like what you're supposed to look like. Man, bump all that. Do you hear what I'm telling you? Y'all worried about the wrong stuff. I'm telling y'all worried about the wrong stuff. That's not what God wants you to be worried about. What God wants you to worry about is being really healed and whole. He wants to heal you. He wants to mend you from the inside out, every broken place. He wants to deal with that stuff. He wants to use it to create a new you that is free to allow the sun to shine through. You hear me? The sun to shine through, not just the sun to hit, but the sun to shine through, creating a kaleidoscope of colors that's unlike anyone else. And it is your brokenness that makes you unique. The way he's going to use it and put it back together, that's going to allow you to really be the light he needs you to be, to bring color to a black and white world, a world that's just grayscale. You'll be able to bring color to it. Man, I've been on here a long time. I was not planning on being on here this long. Well, God said a lot today. I don't know if y'all heard what he said, but I know I heard what he said to me. So I know it's some stuff that I got to do. Point blank, period. It don't even matter if I want to do it or not. It's irrelevant. You see how he trick you? That's what I'm talking about. He be having me saying stuff, and then I get like, really just have me say that. Man, I got to do this stuff. This is why God be making me mad. I don't know about y'all, but I be like, I'm mad with you. Sure. He be like, I know. I'm like, why you always got to make me do? Because you will. But why do I have to always be the one? Because you will. So that's why I use you. I said, okay, listen, I need you to use somebody else sometimes other than me, because I don't want to always be the one. And he said, okay. He don't care nothing about what I say, because he knows at the end of the day, I'm going to do what he say. It may take me a minute. Now, I ain't going to lie to y'all, because some stuff I don't want to do. If I don't want to do it, I'm going to be clear with him that I don't want to do this. I'm not doing that. I be telling them, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing it. He be like, oh, you going to do it. You'll either do it now or you'll do it later. It'll be easy or it'll be hard. You choose the path, but you're going to do it. So I encourage you today, do it. Do what he say. Do what he say. Don't make it hard, because it will be hard. You'll go through some stuff, but eventually you'll get to the point, okay, God, I'll do it, God. Just leave me alone, God. Just leave me alone. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Don't do all that. You ain't got to. I've done it enough for all of us, okay? Just do what he says. Know that he has a plan. And you may not understand all of it, and you may not get all of it, and it may not fit within your paradigm, but your paradigm really does not matter. And he could give two flying F's about your paradigm. Your paradigm is irrelevant to God. Irrelevant. He's got something he needs you to do. The sooner you do it, the sooner you can walk into promises. Because there's some stuff he's just not going to release to you till you do it. He'll give you some stuff he'll release to you, but not everything. Everything cannot be released to you until you're walking fully in his will. You know, and that's a daily thing. It's not a one-time thing. It's a daily thing to walk in his will. His will is more important than religion. His will is more important than laws, rules, and regulations. His will is the most important thing. Get in the will of God. And you'll know you're in his will because things will smooth out some. I'm not saying that everything will be easy. I'm not saying that by any stretch of imagination. I'm not saying that you won't encounter challenges. I'm not saying that either. What I am saying is you'll discover that there's a grace that you have for it. A grace. Which is probably why he wanted me to do this at 5:55. Triple grace. Because it requires that much grace for you to be able to do what it is that he's calling you to do. So today, you guys, seek him. Tell him to talk to you. Get still and get quiet. Listen for the voice of God and then obey. This is a lot. Me and him gonna have a conversation when I get through, because he's doing too much right now. All right, you guys, listen, know this. Know that I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an absolutely amazing and incredible day. And know that if God is for you, he is more than the entire world, all of religion, and every rule against you. You guys be blessed.